Hang on one second. I'm glad that the experts are here, because for me to even try to attempt to do justice to this is difficult. Definitely my dream destination. Hello to everybody. We are recording this, so if you miss any part of it, you'll be able to access it on demand. But we have Jorge here.
Yeah, I know that. I just want to make sure that I've got.
If everybody could just make sure they're muted, just a quick housekeeping note before we start, that would be wonderful. So we've got Jorge here from Exclusive Destinations, and we have Otto, who is the Antarctica expert, knows everything there is to know and can answer all your questions. So we've been talking about on a lovely cruise journey, to this destination that really I probably need a whole day to talk about it. But we're excited that you're here. Please ask your questions as we go along in the chat. Use the chat function, and then what we'll do is after Otto's, we will be able to get to, as many questions as possible. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot, but really anything that you want to know, make sure you put it there so that we can go through it at the end. That's what it's for, to give you as much information as possible, because this is a destination you're likely not so familiar with, and it can be daunting. So we want to make sure that you feel good and comfortable with it by the time that you leave this presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Otto and let him do his thing.
Good afternoon and good morning, depending where you are in the world. I am located at the moment in Santiago, Chile, and we are very excited to share the Antarctica air cruises option. So to whet your appetite, we're going to show you a 60 seconds bit of video. Let's see.
Love to see you there as well.
So I believe you cannot hear it. Can you hear it?
We can, but sometimes these videos get a little bit grainy, but it's okay. We'll be able to share that video with folks afterwards if you want to send it to us, so not to worry.
There we go. So for those who have not been to Antarctica, and even for those who have been, it is a surreal and amazing destination. So imagine Antarctica. All right, so for those who have not been to Antarctica, let's begin at the beginning. It is the coldest, the highest, the driest continent on Earth. It's a vast, unspoiled place, which just inspires a lot of dreamers. So in terms of size, as you know, it's a huge continent, many ice shelves and islands, but then it has a big, large land mass. It is actually the highest continent on Earth. Did you know that? And the elevation at the South Pole is 9,300 feet. It is also the driest place on Earth with the least amount of rain. And can you imagine the lowest temperature ever recorded, minus 128 Fahrenheit? And then, of course, it's the windiest place on Earth. So it has all the big disclaimers of a place that is far, far, far away of people. Now, what we're going to concentrate on today is in that little corner in the top left hand is the western peninsula of Antarctica. That is where all the tourism takes place. And so we're very excited to present Exclusive Destinations who are going to take you on this journey to enjoy the best of Antarctica and the most of Antarctica with the air cruise model. So let's begin. Air cruises is the fastest growing segment of Antarctic tourism, with operators constantly developing and innovating their programs and operations. An expedition trip to Antarctica is carried out in a sustainable, responsible way according to the stringent requirements of the Antarctic Treaty. And this is important. The International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators, they are the guidelines of all operators in tourism to Antarctica. And this is a very good rule. All operators must follow the guidelines. We have a rule that said no more than 100 people are allowed ashore at a landing site at the same time. And later on, we'll explain why that number is significant when it comes to comparing air cruises to your classic sailing the Drake, like in this slide here. So traditionally, ships begin in Ushuaia, which is in Argentina, and they cross this body of water known as the Drake Passage. And that can take 2 days at least, 2 days there and 2 days back. Now that in comparison with the air cruise model, where the trips begin in Punta Arenas in Chile, and you fly directly to Antarctica and you skip the Drake Passage. And so you have a lot more efficiency, it's safer, and it's a more comfortable and quicker method of going there. And this model has been in operation with various cruise operators now for 20 years already. So how do you get to Antarctica by flying over the Drake? This is the only type of aircraft that is currently able to do it. It's this Boeing PA-146 type of aircraft. And here is a taste of how it looks and feels when you're landing in Antarctica. So you land in King George Island. And from there, you join the ship and you go directly on board the vessel. Right, let's give you a summary of the type of itinerary that you can expect when you do an air cruise. The one on the left-hand side is the most frequent air cruise type of itinerary. This is a 8 days and 7 nights. There is one itinerary that is 2 days longer. The objective of that is to reach the polar circle. And then there's a shorter itinerary called the Antarctica Express air cruise. So let's break it down. Should you fly to Punta Arenas, then your trip begins on day 1 with an included hotel night. Day 2, you fly to Antarctica and you join the ship. Then you're exploring Antarctica with 2 landings a day for the next few days. And you fly back to Antarctica with a flight included and you check out of the hotel. The polar circle is the same, except it's just 2 days longer between their days 3 and 8. And the express itinerary is one where you actually cross the Drake Passage one way. Somebody's sound is on. If someone can put the sound on. Is it okay? Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So in a season of Antarctica, which takes place in the austral summer, that is December, January, and February. For this air cruise itinerary, there are 35 departures for the upcoming season on 2 different ships, one on the Ocean Nova, the other on Magellan Explorer. And as you can see, the classic Antarctica itinerary is the one that is frequented the most. And for the next season, there are 36 air cruise departures on those 2 ships. So let us show you about the beautiful brand new Magellan Explorer. The world's first expedition ship custom designed for the Antarctic air cruise operations. So it is both expedition and hospitality orientated. Very spacious indoors, and because this ship has the lowest number of passengers of any ship in the fleet, in any cruise operator, there's a lot of space for everyone. A well-appointed dining room and ship amenities is the word I was looking for. I beg your pardon there. And it is a modern ship with all the latest state-of-the-art technology, Apollo 6 class. And then it also has a good environmental footprint. The vessel is equipped with energy recovery system that recycles the heat produced by the engines to warm up the ship and its water supply. 10 zodiacs, and the good point about that is that you could disembark on 2 sides of the ship at the same time. Now, here's the most important part about going to Antarctica is what you want to learn and who is going to be your people to guide you. The team on board each ship is made up of specialized and passionate individuals who care deeply about Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. They handcraft each experience with love, working as a family and welcoming all expedition guests into that family. There is a host of experienced people, international Antarctic pilots, sea captains, expert polar guides, academics, and seasoned travel professionals that create this experience. So the Antarctica expedition staff offers one of the highest staff to traveler ratios in the industry because of the low number of passengers on board these ships. And so the number for the amount of expedition guides to people is quite high for this type of product. Now, the Magellan Explorer has 7 different accommodation categories. All the cabins have a balcony except for the portal cabin, which is the one in the bottom right-hand corner. So well-appointed luxury cabins, and the ship was launched in 2019. Then the Grand Suite is the largest cabin category, 480 square feet, and there's also a triple cabin. Let's give you a taste of the Magellan Explorer. That's the library. Okay, so then we'll move on to the Ocean Nova. This ship has been in use for aircruise itineraries since 2010. It's actually the most robust type of ship that can go in all ice conditions, and it has benefit from refurbishments earlier in this year, before the just at the conclusion of the Antarctica season. The difference with this ship in terms of the expedition staff and going ashore is identical to the Magellan Explorer. The food is fantastic. I've been on the ship myself. The main comparison would be that the Magellan Explorer is a newer ship. And this Ocean Nova is well loved by photographers and groups who often book out this ship. So when you do book an air cruise, what is included? As mentioned, you get the hotel in Punta Arenas in the first night and last night. A flight between Punta Arenas and King George Island, both ways are included. Daily buffet breakfast and lunch on board. Daily served dinner in the dining room. Wine, beer, juice, and soft drinks are included with lunch and dinner. Coffee, tea, chocolate, cappuccino, etc. are available all day and night. There is a 24-hour service on that. And then you receive your waterproof boots to go ashore. So you'll bring, and your shore excursions. There are 2 shore excursions per day. And these are approximately 2 to 3 hours long. So add-ons, there is a program of adventure activities, sea kayaking or snowshoeing in Antarctica. You have to bring your own expedition jacket and your expedition clothing. If you are going to come earlier to Punta Arenas, you arrange your own hotel and transfer package, but it is available to purchase if you want to do that. And then alcohol is at your own leisure. you have to get travel insurance, laundry, and gratuities. This is a breakdown of the kayaking. There's only 10 participants for the entire duration of the cruise. That means you have to book at the time of making your cabin reservation, because this often sells out. So as you can see, it's double kayaks. And how this program works is that they will go out early morning, do an hour of kayaking, and then they will also get a chance to go on the landing site where all the other passengers are walking. Snowshoeing in Antarctica is a small group experience of 12 people. This one is signed up on board the ship. There's 12 people in the morning and 12 people in the afternoon. So for the upcoming seasons on Ocean Nova specifically, there is a promotion of $2,000 per person discount if booked for new bookings before May the 30th. Where do we stand so far on questions I can assist you with?
Well, we did have one good question, and Jorge had kind of attended to it, but maybe you want to expand on it. Just something about, with the expansion of tourism in Antarctica, how is the nature being preserved, and maybe some other measures to make sure that everything else is kept intact.
Very good question. As mentioned, all tourism is governed by the IATO, and all members of the Antarctic operators abide by those. And the rule is you only leave behind memories. So to go ashore, there's a boots cleaning station, and then you're not allowed to, this has been updated recently, you're not allowed to even sit or lie on the ground anymore to take photographs. You're obviously not allowed to touch the penguins, or you can't bring feathers or rocks with you. And so the expedition staff, they teach you all about this. They actually set up a safe passage or path for everyone to follow, which is the minimum distance of the rookeries of 5 meters. I'm not sure what that is in feet. And then when you come back ashore, also your boots are sanitized, and you don't leave anything behind.
Absolutely amazing. It's hard to imagine a place like this, but wow, that you put that out into good perspective. Now, somebody, and actually a couple of people emailed me this directly. What is the policy on children, or what about younger guests? How is this for someone who's of the younger set?
So due to operational insurance liabilities, the minimum age is 8 years and above. And the other end of the spectrum, I've seen a passenger of 92 years on board. So if you are able to walk and you're comfortable, take care of yourself, you are welcome to come. When you go ashore, there is no urgency to walk or climb and to stay ahead with the group. You can take your sweet time. The expedition staff are around you to ask questions, and you can go back. If you're elderly and you don't want to stay longer, the Zodiacs go back and forth all the time.
Got it. Okay, that's perfect. And somebody says, what happens to the schedule if the flights cannot operate due to inclement weather?
Very good question. Now, the flights are all operated by the same airline. This airline is called DAP, DAP, and they are the only authorized airline that's been flying for 30 years. Now, why I mentioned that is because they also take all the scientists who go to the stations down there. And so from the tourism point of view, we began 20 years ago in 2003. They have kept statistics on how often the flight is delayed. And at this stage, they're on a 78, almost 80% success rate. What that means is they have the flight scheduled for day 2. And if that weather window is not able to operate on that day, then they could bring it forward the day before. So instead of sleeping in the hotel that night, you will take off in the afternoon straight away and you'll go. Or the converse is, if you couldn't go on day 1 or day 2, then they have arranged additional hotel accommodation and food, obviously, and activities in Punta Arenas, and then you'll fly on day 3. Now, because the flights are so programmed, if you do, and that's part of the, if you can use the word, the contingency of planning an air cruise trip. If you don't fly on day 2 and you go on day 3, your trip is not extended. You will still come back the same time. And that's part and parcel of any trip to Antarctica. And this includes in those that actually cross the Drake. There have been instances where the weather turned bad, trip was cut short, and people crossed the Drake 2 days earlier, and they missed 2 days. It's part and parcel of going to Antarctica. The weather is king. It rules everything in Antarctica.
Very good point. Okay, so somebody says, can they work with you on incentive groups and booking groups? They can work with exclusive destinations directly on that. So you got
Absolutely.
in touch with
Yes.
Otto and Jorge on that for sure.
Jorge is your lead on that. Absolutely, there are. I understand Jorge will be able to put group rates together.
Absolutely. All right. And somebody says, what, I'm sorry, if you could just repeat again the capacity on the ship, the number of clients on the ship.
Okay, I am going to happily do that. The Ocean Nova, and the Ocean Nova has a total of 69 passengers that you can take. The Magellan Explorer can hold up to 100. Now, this is the key part about flying to Antarctica. Remember, I mentioned that aircraft, the BAE 146. That aircraft only has a maximum payload of 76 people, which means although the Magellan Explorer can hold 100, they only fly and operate the entire cruise with 76 people.
Okay, fair enough. Somebody has asked, what are the health or medical requirements? Anything special that we need to know?
In the last 2 years, a list of vaccinations and forms, etc. But as of the upcoming season, no more vaccinations required, no more medical certificates. There used to be a condition if you're older than 75. The only time they will ask for a medical certificate is if you put in your questionnaire, you've recently had a heart attack. Your physician needs to sign off that you are now healthy to travel. You know, that type of thing.
Great. Okay, somebody says, do you offer the opportunity for guests to sleep in a tent on the ice for one night? Is there a cost, and is that by lottery?
Thank you. The tent option, it's called camping, is available with some operators. In this instance, this type of activity is not offered for these 2 ships.
Okay. Are there other options to fly one way and sail the other?
Yes. So the Antarctica Express Air Cruise is the itinerary to do that. And that itinerary is actually created from an operational point of view. Allow me to explain. The Ocean Nova has an autonomy of 45 days, the Magellan 60 days. The autonomy means it can stay away from land for that period of time before it needs to go back for either refueling, restocking, trash and those type of things. So in those instances, once in the season, when the ship has to go back to land, then they make use of that opportunity to start the trip in Ushuaia, cross the Drake Passage, you arrive to the South Shetland Islands, you have 1 day of landing, and then landings meaning going ashore, and then you fly from Punta Arenas to, from King George Island to Punta Arenas. Allow me to caution you there. That itinerary is 6 days and 5 nights, but the majority of the time is spent in transit to or from Antarctica, which means the Antarctic experience of going ashore and seeing the wildlife is only 1 day. Now, if there's bad weather, there's a chance you could miss that 1 day of going ashore, compared to the classic Antarctica air cruise, where you have 5 days of going ashore. And so that's the recommendation in that regard. Although the Express is the lower priced item, I know it sells out because of that. Just to be aware that when you sell the product or go on the trip, It only has 1 day in Antarctica.
Okay. Do you have helicopters on board, and can guests ride as they spot penguin colonies?
No helicopters on Magellan Explorer or Ocean Nova, no.
Okay. What are your competitors, I guess, most closely in line with you, and how do you differ?
So Exclusive Destinations has partnered with the air cruise operator that offers these two ships called the Ocean Nova and the Magellan Explorer. And the difference between this operator with these two ships and the others is actually threefold. Firstly, all other operators, they are Quark, Aurora, Silver Seas, and Scenic was also in the picture for some period. They all have ships more than 100 people. Now, two things happen when you have a ship with more than 100. Firstly, when they go ashore, they have to have a rotation basis. Remember, only 100 people can go ashore at the same time. So the way that they sell it is that they put half the group on a Zodiac, and you go out, and then the other group is landing on the landing, and then they switch. That means then you have an hour approximately on your landing site, and then you have to get off again. Whereas with this model of only 76 people, you go ashore for 3 hours at least. Then the second item, which is important, is that that aircraft can only hold 76 people. And keep in mind, that's the same airline that supplies all the operators in Antarctica. And so for that reason, you only need one flight per departure. So for the Ocean Nova and the Magellan Explorer, all the passengers go on one flight there and back. And all the others, Quark, Silver Seas, and Aurora, they'll need 2 or more flights. For example, on some ships with Silver Seas, you might even need 4 flights. And it has happened that, one flight goes and the other one, the weather changes drastically, and then you can't start or end the cruise because the flight process is planned so that you fly with a group from Punta Arenas, you land in King George Island, you pick up the passengers that have ended the cruise, and you fly back. So you need a 5-hour window of time to go there and back, because there's no airport in Antarctica. So 2 hours there, land, pick up, and then 2 hours back.
Fantastic. And then somebody says, what are the luggage restrictions? How do you handle luggage?
So because you are going on a small aircraft, total luggage per person is 44 pounds or 20 kilograms, and that includes hand luggage. Now, the way around that is that when you go to the airport in Punta Arenas, you will be wearing all your winter gear because you're going to get off the plane and you're going to be in Antarctica. And so everything that you carry on your person is not included in the 44 pounds, because your jacket, your pants, and those type of things. And I can, slyly tell you, you can put your camera around your neck and they won't, weigh your luggage and think that your camera is included there.
All right, fantastic. Anybody else have any other questions? Oh, somebody says, okay, what incentives or discounts are given to travel agents for any FAM journeys?
So Jorge will be able to answer that question. If you want to contact him by email, this will be at the end shown. He will be able to share with you those information.
Fantastic. And then does the ship cross the Antarctic Circle? Sorry.
Yes, it does, with the itinerary, the Polar Circle Air Cruise. Now, the Polar Circle Air Cruise is only operated once during the Antarctica season. As mentioned, it's a 90-day period of December, January, and February. So on the Magellan Explorer, it's operated once, and on the Ocean Nova, it's operated twice. It's, as I mentioned, those two trips are actually the most popular. That itinerary is the most popular with photographers. There's often every year a group of photographers on those itineraries.
Fantastic.
So, in summary,
please.
allow me to whet your appetite and show you how it looks when you are in Antarctica and you land in the peninsula or in South Shetland Islands. The Zodiac cruising is quite surreal with all the different colors of the icebergs around you. And the views is just so beautiful. It's just land and wildlife like you cannot imagine. So it does feel surreal. Can you imagine standing there with all those thousands of penguins? You feel quite, I must say, going to Antarctica, I was fortunate to travel the world as an officer on board ships for 15 years. And I went from the one point of the earth to the other, from China all across Europe to Hawaii and down to Australia, New Zealand, and everything in between. And then I went to Antarctica. And it is just such a moving experience. Nothing can really prepare you for the feelings of awe. It is such a life-changing experience. And we use those words so often, but Antarctica truly is. You become quite impressed when you're there. And from
can't wait to get there. I think for me, it's been a lifelong dream. So it looks absolutely incredible. We have let's see, one last quick question. The winter gear is provided, or they have to rent it there? How does that work with any additional gear?
So you only get the knee-high insulated rubber boots from the cruise line, and you bring your own gear with you. It is suggested that you bring it from your home with you. It is haphazard to find places to rent. There were places in the past, then the pandemic happened, and then the sharing of clothing equipment was not allowed. We're not sure if there are any places, and if you do find places, you might not find your size, etc. So it's suggested you just bring it from home.
Understood. Okay, fantastic. And then Jorge can get back to everybody on any rate questions or package questions, group and fam rates and things like that. So he'll be in touch as well. So this has been great. Please reach out to us. Our email address, I'll put it here in the chat, info@treemarketing.com. We are the local representatives here, as you know, in the Americas. So we are able to help you here with travel trade information, and you can write to Jorge directly as well. And he'd be even more than happy to help you along with his team. So I really thank you so much for joining us. If you've missed any part of this, it has been recorded, and we are going to place this on our YouTube channel so that you can watch it again and again, as I will. I'm sure there were things I missed, so I'll be watching it back. Please do that. And yeah, as always, thank you for joining us. Please reach out. This is an amazing, you're selling an incredible dream. It's a lifelong dream for a lot of people. So we hope that we can help you deliver that.
Es una vaina en la Antártica.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Okay. Take care, everybody.